Along the eastern shores of the Mediterranean lies a nation whose history reads like an epic spanning 5 millennia. Lebanon has been home to the world's first alphabet, witnessed the rise and fall of ancient empires, and survived one of history's most devastating famines. From the Phoenician merchants who established the foundations of global commerce to the complex political negotiations that created the modern Lebanese state, this small country has consistently punched above its weight on the world stage. Lebanon's strategic position at the crossroads of 3 continents has made it both a bridge between civilizations and a battleground for competing powers. Its story encompasses the maritime dominance of ancient Tyre and Sidon, the religious diversity that emerged under successive empires, and the diplomatic maneuvering that carved Greater Lebanon from the remnants of the Ottoman Empire in 1920. Today, we're examining the complete history of Lebanon, tracing how ancient Canaanite cities evolved into a modern republic that became the Middle East's most religiously diverse nation. This is the story of how geography, religion, and geopolitics combined to create one of the world's most unique countries. The story of Lebanon begins around 4000 BCE with the Canaanites, a Semitic people whom the Greeks would later call Phoenicians because of the purple dye they produced from murex shells. These weren't just traders, they were revolutionaries who would change the world forever. The Phoenicians established 3 great cities: Sidon, founded in the 3rd millennium BCE, Tyre, built on both an island, and mainland around 2000 BCE, and Byblos, whose name would give us the word Bible. But their greatest innovation wasn't wealth, it was communication. They developed one of the first alphabetic writing systems, the foundation of the very letters you're reading now. The Phoenician alphabet, consisting of 22 consonantal letters, was revolutionary in its simplicity compared to the complex hieroglyphic and cuneiform systems of neighboring civilizations. This innovation democratized literacy, making written communication accessible beyond the priestly and scribal classes. Archaeological evidence from Byblos reveals that by 1200 BCE, this alphabetic system was being used for commercial records, legal documents, and even personal correspondence, a testament to its practical utility. Between the 9th and 6th centuries BCE, Tyre became the crown jewel of Phoenician civilization, establishing colonies throughout the Mediterranean, including mighty Carthage. Their ships, crafted from Lebanon's legendary cedars, carried not just merchandise, but ideas, technologies, and cultures across the known world. The cedar wood was so prized that Egyptian pharaohs imported it for their sarcophagi, and King Solomon specifically requested Lebanese cedar for his temple in Jerusalem, paying with wheat and oil in one of history's earliest recorded international trade agreements. In 572 BCE, the Phoenician cities fell under Persian rule, beginning Lebanon's journey through successive empires. But the most dramatic moment came in 332 BCE, when Alexander the Great arrived at Tyre's gates. What followed was one of history's most brutal sieges. For 7 months, Alexander's forces besieged the island city, eventually building a causeway to breach its defenses. 8,000 Tyrians died in the assault that finally brought the Phoenician age to an end. After Alexander's death, Lebanon passed through Hellenistic kingdoms before falling under Roman rule. The Romans recognized the value of Lebanese cedar and strategic ports, integrating the region into their empire. Christianity took root during this period, establishing communities that would define Lebanon's future identity. The Roman period brought unprecedented prosperity to Lebanese cities. Berytus, modern Beirut, became famous throughout the empire for its law school, which trained jurists who served across Roman territories. The city earned the title Mother of Laws and attracted students from across the Mediterranean. Meanwhile, Baalbek became home to some of the largest Roman temples ever constructed, with the Temple of Jupiter featuring columns that still rank among the tallest ancient structures standing today. As Rome transformed into the Byzantine Empire, Lebanon remained a crucial crossroads. But another great change was approaching, one that would reshape the entire Middle East. In the 7th century CE, Arab armies brought Islam to the ancient Phoenician lands. However, Lebanon's mountainous terrain provided refuge for religious minorities, creating the complex sectarian landscape that defines Lebanon today. The most significant group were the Maronites, Eastern Catholics, who maintained distinct identity while forging connections with Western Christianity, particularly France. Alongside them lived the Druze, followers of a religion emerging from Islam, but developing unique characteristics. These communities, with various Orthodox Christians and Muslims, would shape Lebanon's destiny in unimaginable ways. In 1516, Lebanon became part of the Ottoman Empire, beginning over 4 centuries of rule. The Ottomans initially allowed local autonomy, but tensions between religious communities periodically erupted into violence, particularly between Druze and Maronites. By 1860, these tensions reached a breaking point. With European intervention threatening, Napoleon III sent 7,000 troops to Beirut, helping impose a partition. This led to Mount Lebanon's creation as an autonomous region within the Ottoman Empire in 1861, the first semi-independent Lebanese government in centuries. As the 20th century dawned, French influence had grown significantly in Lebanon through education, trade, and religion. The French built schools, supported Maronites, and constructed infrastructure like the Beirut-Damascus Railway. But nobody predicted the catastrophe that would befall Lebanon during World War I. The Great War brought unimaginable suffering. Cut off from French support and subjected to Ottoman commander Jamal Pasha's harsh rule, Lebanon faced multiple crises. Political repression was severe. Dozens of opponents were executed, thousands exiled, particularly Arab nationalists. Conscription, known as sefaberlik, tore young men from families. The forests were cut for fuel as coal became scarce. The silk industry collapsed entirely, but these hardships paled compared to the famine. The Allied naval blockade, combined with Ottoman policies cutting food supplies, created starvation conditions that killed approximately 1/3 of Lebanon's population. French naval medic Dr. Pierre captured the horror Allied forces found in 1918 Beirut. Streets filled with emaciated figures, corpses everywhere, carts collecting 100 bodies daily for mass graves. As Allied forces occupied former Ottoman territories in 1918, Lebanon became the center of complex political struggle. 3 forces emerged with radically different visions. Maronite Christians, led by Daoud Amoun and Patriarch Elias Hoayek, saw opportunity to create an independent Lebanese state under French protection. They wanted to expand autonomous Mount Lebanon to include coastal cities and the fertile Bekaa Valley, the culmination of centuries maintaining their distinct identity. The Arab nationalist movement, embodied by Faisal ibn Hussein and the Syrian National Congress, envisioned Greater Syria uniting Arabic-speaking peoples from Mediterranean to Mesopotamia, with Lebanese provinces as integral parts. This wasn't just political ambition. It was pan-Arab unity, promising to restore Arab dignity after centuries of foreign rule. Meanwhile, Britain and France worked out arrangements based on the 1916 Sykes-Picot Agreement. France eyed Syria and Lebanon, while Britain focused on Palestine and Iraq. The 1919 Paris Peace Conference became the stage for this 3-way struggle. Lebanese delegations presented their case using 1860s French military maps, arguing for Greater Lebanon's natural and historic borders. Syrian representatives countered that historic Syria should include Lebanon and Palestine. Faisal tried negotiating compromise, giving him Syrian kingdom while acknowledging Lebanese autonomy. Initially, diplomacy seemed possible. In late 1919, French Premier Clemenceau and Faisal reached agreement. Lebanon separate from Syria, disputed Bekaa Valley neutral, Faisal recognized as Syrian king under French influence. But this delicate balance was about to shatter. In January 1920, Alexandre Millerand replaced Clemenceau as French Prime Minister. Unlike his predecessor, Millerand was an unapologetic colonialist, prioritizing French imperial ambitions over diplomatic compromise. With Americans withdrawn from peace process and British focused elsewhere, France had free rein. The breaking point came March 1920, when the Syrian National Congress declared Faisal king of independent Syria including Lebanese provinces. This was exactly what France feared, an Arab state undermining their regional plans. French response was swift and decisive. Despite Faisal's new compromise attempts, French forces invaded Syria from Lebanese bases in July 1920. The Battle of Maysalun on July 24th lasted mere hours. Faisal's Arab army, poorly equipped and vastly outnumbered, was overwhelmed by French forces with modern artillery and aircraft. Faisal fled, taking with him the last hope for unified Arab kingdom. With Arab resistance crushed and British acquiescence secured, France implemented its Lebanon vision. On September 1, 1920, General Henri Gouraud proclaimed the State of Greater Lebanon, État du Grand Liban. This new state incorporated not just old autonomous Mount Lebanon, but coastal cities Beirut, Tripoli, and Sidon, northern Akkar district, southern Marjayoun and Hasbaya areas, and eastern Bekaa Valley. For the first time in over 4 centuries, these diverse regions united under single government. Greater Lebanon's creation was controversial from proclamation. The League of Nations formally granted France the Lebanon and Syria mandate in 1923. For many Lebanese Christians, particularly Maronites, this fulfilled dreams sustaining them through centuries of foreign rule. But Mount Lebanon's expansion into Greater Lebanon created new challenges. Original Mount Lebanon had clear Christian majority, but Greater Lebanon included large Muslim populations in coastal cities and Bekaa Valley. As French newspaper Le Temps observed, this demographic change would have profound political implications. For Arab nationalists region-wide, Greater Lebanon represented another step from pan-Arab unity dreams. For diverse communities within Lebanon, Christians, Druze, Sunni, and Shia Muslims, the challenge was building functioning state, accommodating different religious and political identities. Early Greater Lebanon years were marked by enormous rebuilding challenges after Great War devastation. Around 100,000 people in Beirut and Mount Lebanon had died of starvation, creating demographic and economic crisis requiring years to overcome. French mandatory authorities, working with local leaders, began immediate economic and infrastructure restoration. Reforestation programs restored cedar forests cut during war. Agricultural programs helped rural community recovery. Equal rights were proclaimed for all religious groups, establishing foundation for Lebanon's unique confessional political system. The French also invested heavily in education, establishing the University of St. Joseph in 1875, and later, the American University of Beirut in 1866, which became intellectual centers for the entire Arab world. These institutions produced generations of Lebanese intellectuals, writers, and political leaders who would shape not only Lebanon's future, but contribute to the broader Arab cultural renaissance known as the Nahda. Lebanese emigrants, particularly to the Americas, established influential diaspora communities that maintained strong ties to their homeland while contributing to their adopted country's development. In 1926, France formally established the Lebanese Republic, creating institutional framework for eventual independence. The new constitution established government allocating political power among Lebanon's religious communities, ensuring no single group could dominate others. This confessional system, while innovative, embedded sectarian divisions into Lebanese state structure. The president would always be Maronite Christian, prime minister Sunni Muslim, parliament speaker Shia Muslim. Parliamentary seats were distributed among communities according to perceived demographic weight. As the 1930s progressed, Lebanese political leaders pushed for greater French control autonomy. European fascism's rise and Lebanese politicians' growing confidence created change pressure. But another world war would finally break mandatory rule chains. France proclaimed Lebanon's independence in 1941, but continued exercising real authority. This was independence in name only. French officials controlled key government aspects. French troops remained stationed throughout. The real test came in 1943. Lebanese leaders formed the country's first truly democratic government and amended the constitution ending French mandate. French authorities responded by arresting and imprisoning the Lebanese president, and several government officials. This heavy-handed response backfired spectacularly. Lebanese from all religious communities united opposing continued French control. International pressure, particularly from Britain and the United States, forced France to release imprisoned leaders and recognize Lebanese independence. The creation of Greater Lebanon in 1920 established a state unlike any other in the Middle East. Its borders encompassed ancient Phoenician cities, Christian mountain villages, Muslim coastal communities, and diverse rural populations. Its political system balanced competing religious group claims while maintaining national unity. As one historian noted, Maronite Lebanon's expansion to include large Muslim populations provided the basis for intercommunal conflicts that would repeatedly ravage the country in the future. This proved prophetic, as Lebanon would face civil wars, foreign interventions, and internal conflicts, often tracing roots to fundamental tensions embedded in Greater Lebanon's creation. Yet for all its challenges, Greater Lebanon's creation established something remarkable: a diverse, pluralistic society in a region often marked by homogeneity. Lebanon became home to 17 religious communities, each maintaining identity while participating in shared national project. The creation of Greater Lebanon on September 1, 1920, represents one of the most complex nation-building experiments in modern Middle Eastern history. What emerged was not simply another post-Ottoman state, but a deliberate attempt to create a functioning democracy from one of the world's most religiously diverse populations. The Lebanese confessional system, while imperfect, offered a unique model for power sharing that recognized the legitimate claims of multiple communities within a single state. Lebanon's historical significance extends far beyond its borders. The Phoenician alphabet that originated on its shores became the foundation for written communication across the Western world. The cedar forests that covered its mountains provided timber for Solomon's temple and countless other monuments of antiquity. The commercial networks established by Tyrian and Sidonian merchants created some of the earliest examples of international trade and cultural exchange. Yet perhaps Lebanon's greatest contribution to world history has been its demonstration that diversity need not be a source of weakness. Throughout its long history, Lebanon has shown that different religious, ethnic, and linguistic communities can coexist within shared political frameworks. The challenges Lebanon has faced, from the sectarian tensions of the 19th century to the civil conflicts of the 20th, have been real and often devastating. But they have also produced innovations in governance, diplomacy, and social organization that continue to influence political thought throughout the region. The story of Lebanon reminds us that nations are not inevitable products of geography or ethnicity, but conscious creations of human will and compromise. From the ancient Phoenicians who first ventured beyond the horizon to the modern Lebanese who continue to navigate between tradition and modernity. East and West, this small nation has consistently demonstrated that the most significant contributions to human civilization often come from the most unexpected places. As Lebanon continues to evolve in the 21st century, its history serves as both inspiration and warning, showing us the possibilities that emerge when diverse peoples choose to build together, and the consequences when those choices break down. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I've made many other videos on history. Visit the channel and explore more.